What's up, guys? Ben Milliken here, back for Carl's Mystery Tackle Box. You know, it's no secret, jigs get some of the biggest bites of the year. You can catch fish on jigs all year round, and personally, I've caught them in dirt brown water, you know, chocolate milk that you could pretty much walk across, all the way up to stuff that's 30, 40 foot visibility, ultra gin clear water, and everything in between. Jigs flat out catch fish. But do you know when you should go out and you should deploy a football head, or a flipping head, or a finesse head, or any other type of head? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, where you can best use these different size, profiles, shapes of heads, hooks, everything with jig fishing, different types of cover, and catch more fish. So I got 4 variables that are going to determine how effective my approach is on the water when fishing a jig that I've learned from throwing them for, I don't even know, 25 years now. They kind of hold true every single time I'm out on the water. So the first one is your profile of your jig. The second one is your equipment. The third one is your cover that you're fishing it with. And the fourth one is the head style. And we're going to talk about each one of those as we kind of work through some different cover on the lake today. So a flippin' style head. So the way you can tell a flippin' style head bait is it comes to a point at the tip right there. And generally, it's matched up with a heavier shank hook, just like we got on this guy right here. This is a heavier hook, a pointed head, and it's got a nice short compact skirt. So the place this guy is going to excel, first off, this head shape is going to be in this type of cover, these laydowns. Anything you're going to have up on the bank, you're going to be able to flip this guy into. Another thing that's a really good place to throw this bait is around grass. You know, if you have grass in your lake, that's another great place you can throw a flipping jig. That head style will get in and out of the grass a lot more effectively than any other head style I've found. Now, like I was telling you guys, a very important factor in determining your success rate of catching the fish and, of course, getting that fish away from that cover or fishing that bait is going to be the tackle that you use. And I like to match my tackle to the different type of cover I'm fishing. For instance, if I'm using a flipping jig like this, that means I'm flipping cover. I'm flipping heavier stuff. I'm flipping laydowns, you know, stumps, grass, stuff like that. In that situation, I want to use a heavy rod. I'm going to use a lot heavier rod for my flipping jig than any other rod. I use a 7.4 to 7.6 heavy action rod, heavy power rod that is, with a faster action. That way when you hit them with this bait, you set that hook and you really draw back on them, you get hook penetration immediately and you get that fish's head moving up out of that cover as quick as possible. I like to match that up with as fast a reel as I can get away with as well. This is a 7:3-to-1 gear ratio reel. You can go faster than that. Unfortunately, you lose some of your winching power if you get up in the 8 and 9 speed reels, so I like a 7 speed a lot. I matched up with 20-pound fluorocarbon line, and that's just my general everyday jig flipping arsenal right there. So we just moved out off the shore, and now it's time to fish a totally different type of jig, cover, and line, rod, reel combination for this bait. What we found right up here is a hard spot on the bottom. I marked it on my waypoint. I put a waypoint on it, I marked the hard spot, and now we got it right down below us right there. It's not necessarily a rock pile, but it's kind of just a hard drop-off area. This is an awesome spot in the spring because those fish love to get on hard cover as they work their way back into the spawning cove back behind me. So the jig we're going to use for this type of cover, offshore, a little bit deeper, and hard bottom, is a football jig. Football jigs are excellent for hard bottom stuff. Whenever you're fishing long pieces of structure, you need to cast out and really drag that bait on the bottom. That's when a football jig excels. That football head right there is awesome because that head, when it hits the bottom, it's actually going to roll up like that. And so your little craw trailer is going to sit up off the bottom. Which brings me to the next point, your trailer on this guy. A craw trailer is always important to me when I'm fishing a football jig. That or just, you know, a really small grub type finesse bait. I try to match my bait, my trailer to my jig every single time. The color, a lot of guys like to differentiate, you know, put a green pumpkin on a black and blue or something like that. I like to keep them the same color or close to the same color. We got a jig that's green pumpkin with some chartreuse. I like an orange or a green pumpkin style craw that kind of matches it. And yeah, get out and do some dragging with this guy. That's where a football jig is really going to excel. As far as my tackle and equipment I throw this on, I definitely throw it on a lot different type of rod. When I'm fishing these offshore spots, I want a long rod that's got a lot of bend and a slower taper to it. This is a 7'5". It's a medium heavy, moderate fast action rod. And the benefits of that are the rod's a lot slower. And so when you hit a fish offshore, you want a big bend in your rod. You want a little bit more of a parabolic bend than if you're up close and personal and you need to get their head moving. What I've found is if you get a bite on the end of a long cast out there, And you need something that's going to drive the hook home and keep that fish coming throughout the entire hook set process. It seems like if you use too stiff of a rod, not only are you not able to have better, longer casts and stuff like that, but it tears a hole in the fish's mouth. It immediately pulls up on that fish, and a lot of times they'll turn their head or shake it really quick, and that's when they can get away if you're using fluorocarbon like I always like to offshore. Now that's another thing, I like fluorocarbon line, especially with this technique. You can get away with braided line a lot of times if you're flipping super heavy cover, but for me, if I'm fishing deep, I want fluorocarbon line. The reason for that is it sinks. And when fluorocarbon line is sinking, it's on the bottom, it's gonna give you more direct contact with your bait. It's not gonna be floating on the top. If you're using braid and you're fishing offshore, you're gonna have a big bow in your line going down like that, and you're gonna miss a lot of bites. As far as how heavy a line I like to use, I almost always use 15 or 17 pound fluorocarbon for offshore. If the water's super clean and I'm just fishing more of like a gravel or tapering rock bank like that, I'll bump it down to 12, but generally 15 or 17 pound line I found, unless I'm fishing super shallow, heavy rock cover, is absolutely the way to go. Now the last style of jig I really like to throw in the spring and really all season long around any type of cover, whether I'm flipping a brush pile or I'm dragging out deep, or if I'm just dragging it off a regular tapering bank, nothing special to it. Is when the bite's really tough, I'll go to a finesse jig right there. If you guys watch my channel, you watch my videos, you know I resort to that finesse cut bait a whole lot, and the reason for that is it's short, it's compact, it's way smaller profile than those other two jigs I just showed you guys, and for that reason, when the fishing is really tough, you're just flat out gonna get more bites. Those fish don't want to eat a big profile, they don't want to move, and a lot of times there's just not a whole lot of reason for it. It can be bluebird like it is today, a lot of times that's when it's that way. Or it can be cloudy and you think the fish should be chewing, they're just not biting for whatever reason. A finesse jig has saved my butt so many damn times on really super tough fishing days. As far as the rod and reel combination, I totally switch everything up on this. I don't use that longer, heavier rod anymore. I like a 7-foot medium heavy rod with a lighter tip to it. I'll use 12-pound fluorocarbon line, and then again, it's still a fast reel, but a smaller reel for that smaller line, something you can get a lot of distance on. You can be really accurate with your flips and pitches with that small bait, but I want this thing to have as natural as action as possible, fall super natural. So I downsize that 12-pound, even if I'm fishing heavy cover. I just want to get bit. That's the biggest thing on this little finesse jig, is I'm trying to get bit. And the best way I found to do that is small line, small rod, accurate presentations, and just really soak that bait. Let's talk real quick about jig colors. I think guys get a little bit too crazy about the types of colors they think they need in their arsenal and how much time they spend out there buying every single jig color possible that's on the market. To me, you only need 3 simple colors. You need a green pumpkin or a watermelon, a natural color jig. And I like kind of a combination of both of those colors to give it a little bit more contrast. And then you need something in the middle, whether that be a green pumpkin with some chartreuse, a green pumpkin with a little bit of blue, a green pumpkin with some black in it, a green pumpkin with some orange in it. Nothing too crazy. You don't need a million different colors. Just pick one of those, go get some confidence in it. Something though that shows up a little bit better in stained water. I like the regular green pumpkin and watermelon when the water's really clean. You have to have a natural color jig in those situations, it seems like. When there's a stain in the water, whether it's 4-foot visibility or 1-foot visibility, I really like something that has just a little bit of contrast, like a couple strands of chartreuse or a couple strands of orange or blue. And then when it's really muddy, any type of black color. Straight black, black and blue, black and red, black and orange, black and yellow. Whatever black is the primary color, and honestly, you can get away with just black. You don't need to go too crazy on this, but that's what I've done. That's what's been successful for me. That's what's been successful for a lot of people I fish with, and I think it's going to catch more fish for you. Hopefully you guys learned a lot from this video. You know, definitely, like I said, use the different style head shapes for whatever cover you're fishing, match your rod and reel combination to whatever type of cover you're fishing, and match the jig color to whatever color water you're fishing, and you're gonna catch a whole bunch more fish this spring and all the way throughout the year. Thanks so much for watching this one, guys. I'm out of here.